Welcome back to the deep dive. We received just a remarkable collection of material this week, all centered on this idea of foundational identity.
Mm.
Who we are at our core, and maybe more importantly, how to overcome the really deep internal resistance that keeps us stuck. It's like a deep dive into the blueprint of the self.
That's a great way to put it. Our mission today is really to unpack this whole framework. It's a complete plan for self-understanding that is built, and this is key, outside the context of your past failures.
Right.
It's all built on this concept of an original design, and it promises a kind of shortcut to a really deep foundational belief about your own value
Yeah.
and your purpose.
And the opening premise is, it's massive. It throws you right into this notion that we are, each of us, a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Created for a very specific, singular purpose. The whole idea is rooted in this belief that we were known and designed before we were even born. That our purpose was essentially, written down before we took our first breath.
Exactly. It suggests every single person's life has this preset script of greatness.
So if we accept that we're all perfectly designed masterpieces, then the obvious question is, why do we struggle so much?
And that's where the material goes next. It contrasts this original design with a concept they call strongholds.
Struggle!
Yeah. And these aren't just, simple doubts or these deep internal negative thought patterns, self-sabotaging mental scripts that just run on a loop.
So we're talking about things like, I am unwanted, or I always fail, that kind of thing.
That's it, exactly. Or I don't have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
They become these established binding loops of thought. They're like internal prisons, really. They lock you away from the reality of your own design.
Okay, so the first step in this whole process isn't just to, think positive thoughts.
Not at all. It's much more aggressive. The first step is to actively destroy that old negative structure.
But how do you destroy a thought pattern? Once that's entrenched, it feels almost impossible.
The framework treats it like you said, a reboot, an identity reboot. You have to first recognize that the negative old self that held all those thoughts, it's been fundamentally canceled.
Cancel!
Yeah, they use this really powerful image of that old self being crucified so that the new reality is, and I'm quoting here, it is no longer I who live.
So that old negative programming has to be declared obsolete. So the new code, the original design, can actually run without conflict.
You got it. It's a radical separation from your personal history. And it requires a completely different perspective.
Which feels like the hardest part.
It is. This is where the critical mindset shift comes in. They really emphasize the need to see things from heaven's perspective.
Heaven's perspective. Okay, unpack that.
It's not just wishful thinking. It's a tool. The instruction is very practical. When you're overwhelmed, when you're going through something hard, don't just dwell on the problem in front of you. You stop, and you ask for a higher perspective on what's going on.
What's so fascinating there is that it implies you're already in a position of victory. Even if your circumstances look terrible, you're sort of looking down on the battlefield, not stuck in the mud.
Precisely. That shift changes the whole landscape. And once you apply that new perspective, then you can start to program the new reality. And the centerpiece for that reprogramming is declaration, specifically these powerful I am statements.
Okay, let's get into this implementation phase. The framework models this process after, the ultimate example of someone declaring their identity. What were those specific declarations that anchor this whole idea?
Well, they detail the famous identity statements that this model used to define himself. And they were definitive. They weren't conditional.
Like what?
Things like, I am the bread of life. That declares your source of sustenance. I am the light of the world, which is about clarity and guidance. I am the good shepherd, which is all about protection and care.
Right.
And then the big one, the most comprehensive one. I am the way, the truth, and the life. It shows that identity isn't a feeling. It's a declaration of your function.
Okay, and here's the point where I think a lot of people, myself included, would stumble. You start declaring these powerful things like, I am a masterpiece, or I am a source of light, and your immediate internal reaction is...
This is arrogant.
Exactly. Isn't this just pride? And the material actually tackles this head-on, which I thought was really insightful.
It completely flips the script. The instruction is that believing and declaring who you are is not pride. In fact, they say it very clearly. It's pride if you don't declare who you are.
Wow. Okay, say more about that.
Because, according to this framework, true humility is just agreeing with what a higher power or the original design says about you.
So pride is when you substitute your own, usually lower negative assessment for that high design.
That's the pivotal insight. Humility means accepting the greatness that was intended for you. And when your words finally align with that higher assessment, well, that's when potential is unlocked.
And what does that unlock exactly?
Power. It leads directly to what they call the greater works mandate. The idea that whoever aligns and believes will not only do the kinds of works modeled for them, but will do greater works than these.
That's a huge claim.
It's immense. And the sources emphasize that this power comes from the same spiritual engine that raised Jesus Christ from the dead. That context defines the true scope of the identity they're encouraging you to claim.
It's one thing to declare this when you're feeling confident, but the material gave this powerful, almost cautionary story about overcoming that internal resistance, even when your identity is being confirmed externally.
You're talking about John the Baptist.
Yeah, the scene at the baptism.
John the Baptist was a powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
But even he was totally resistant to stepping into his role in that moment. He felt unworthy. He's saying, "Who am I that I should baptize you?"
He's trying to step back from what his design requires.
Exactly. But the response to him was insistent. This is part of your original design. This is what I required of you. And the message there is just, it's so profound. The original design is required of us. And we have to step out and do it, even if we're afraid.
Even afraid. I like that.
Because that action is what brings glory and ultimately what they say save lives.
And what stands out to me most in that whole story is the validation that comes after he steps out. When the model emerges from the water, the father speaks and says, "That is my son who brings me great joy."
Yes.
And that declaration of pleasure, of satisfaction, it came before any miracles, before any public ministry, before a single person was healed.
Yes. The joy was based purely on identity and the courage to step into the required design.
Yeah.
It wasn't conditional on performance at all. And this all circles back to the core belief that holds this entire framework together.
Which is?
Whatever you believe about yourself, that is what you're going to become. You have to guard your internal world, your heart, because those beliefs determine the entire course of your life.
Okay, so let's get really practical. If we've accepted the design, we fought the pride battle. How do we apply this belief system every single day? What are the tools?
The process is remarkably structured. First, you have to use any existing prophetic words or affirmations that have been spoken over you. You treat them like a battle plan.
Weaponize the truth, basically.
You weaponize that truth. When opposition comes, they're the tools you use to fight well in the Lord's battle.
That's a good starting point, but we still have those strongholds, those negative thoughts that pop up constantly. What do you do with that instant habitual self-doubt?
That's the second step. It's all about speed. You must take every thought captive and use what they hilariously call the ninja move fast.
The ninja move fast.
Or ninja move fast.
Right.
It means you destroy the negative thought instantly and you replace it with the truth of your design so quickly that the negative neural pathway just doesn't have time to fire up and reestablish itself. You have to be aggressive and swift.
So timing is everything. You can't let the doubt linger.
Not for a second. And once you capture those thoughts, you replace them with your I am statements. These become a daily faith agenda and a prayer agenda.
And they even gave a methodology for how to process all these words.
They did. You read them 2 or 3 times, look for recurring themes, highlight the ideas that really resonate with you, and then you turn them into these concise, declarative sentences, things you can memorize and declare every day, even over your children.
And there was that really important piece of advice about not throwing away any words you receive, even if they seem stupid.
Right, or just too specific or weird. You have to hold on to the essence of it. They shared that anecdote about the person who was told she would own a pet shop.
And she hated the idea.
Hated it. It seemed totally irrelevant to her life. But years later, she was running a very successful pet grooming shop.
Huh. So the spirit of the word working with animals was true, even if the literal title was a little off.
Exactly. You have to allow the design to unfold.
Okay, let's look at the real-world impact. The sources shared several really powerful stories of this framework in action. The transformation of the former addict it's just startling.
It's a profound demonstration of this. They described a member who had been a severe drug addict and a bad boy. His life was just spiraling.
Right.
When he engaged with this framework, he received an original design that declared him a shepherd, leading people into heaven, a man of honor, and a general in God's army.
The gap between his reality and that design must have felt enormous.
Huge. But he chose to believe the design. And now he serves with this incredible passion, and his family, including his mother, who he was estranged from, has been completely restored. The old self was genuinely canceled.
That is a complete life reversal, based solely on accepting a written design over a lived failure. Then we also heard about a breakthrough in communication barriers, the story about Huang Songwook.
Yes, Huang Sanguk was blocked by this lie that his non-believing Gyeongsango father, who is known for being, stoic and maybe difficult to approach about spiritual things, would never listen to him.
A very common
A
fear.
very common fear. But instead of giving in, he applied these principles. He sent his father this detailed message about the divine design, about sacrifice, and his father's response was short, but so powerful.
What was it?
Just, yes, thank you. That was it. But it was a massive breakthrough. It proved that declaring the truth can overcome these deep cultural and relational walls.
And the third story, the one about Hyeon, it puts the power of belief up against legitimate, real-world physical fear.
Absolutely. Hyeon was a staff member, and she was worried about taking her second child to Eswatini.
Right, a mission field with high infection risks.
High infection risks, including AIDS. And her child suffered from severe and persistent open wounds from atopic dermatitis. Her fear was completely rational.
She was worried about her child's safety, of course.
But after receiving a specific prayer from a sister named Nicole, a prayer that affirmed the child's healing and challenged her fear, the child's wounds completely healed.
The next day.
The very next day, this tangible, immediate miracle just demolished their fear and confirmed that their mission path was protected.
That's incredible. It's the ultimate proof that belief in the design can eliminate fear and manifest an immediate physical reality. So to solidify all this, the process ended with a really powerful and very creative exercise.
Yes, the superhero pose. The participants chose 5 core I am statements from their design, especially the things they struggle most to believe.
And then?
And then they had to literally perform a superhero pose while declaring their new identity out loud, boldly. It's all about embodying the word, making the unseen belief a visible physical reality. It turns the declaration into this moment of, fun and power.
So what does this all mean for the bigger picture? This deep dive has really provided a clear, actionable methodology for internalizing a new identity based on these external, powerful affirmations.
And the core mechanism through all of it is just radical belief.
Whatever you believe about yourself, that is what you're going to become.
And finally, the material concluded with this powerful analogy to encourage persistence even when the path is hard. They gave a blessing promising success, encouraging everyone to go further and faster. And then they referenced seeing the spiritual realm like a strategy board game.
Like Baduk or Othello.
Exactly, like Baduk.
For anyone who doesn't know, Baudok Go is an incredibly complex game of strategy and territory. It's often used as an analogy for grand strategy.
Correct. And the final message was this. Even if you feel like you are losing, or that the pieces on the board mean you're getting behind, there is a promise that hidden forces have been placed.
Hidden forces.
They call them ono, obakbyang. It means something like secret reserve troops. And these forces are ready to turn everything upside down in the end. It's a guarantee of ultimate victory based not on the current score, but on the power and the strategy of the one who designed you.
That is a stunning reassurance. So if agreeing with your original design is true humility, here is the provocative thought for you to carry forward this week. What is the one powerful identity statement about your design that you have been afraid to declare about yourself?